If I were to tell you right now to snap your fingers and instantly quit all the bad habits that you have, you know, the habits that you've been struggling with for years, just poof, instantly quit them and magically change into the person of your dreams overnight, then you'd probably sit there and you'd look at me and you'd think that I was either joking or that I was an idiot or something, right? You'd not really think that I was that serious. You'd not really think that I was worth listening to. Because you know that that's bullshit. You know that you can't just poof, magically change overnight, and that if there are things that you've been struggling with for years, that they are probably going to take some time, they're going to take a lot of discipline, you're going to have to, turn these things into actual habits that you can do, and you cannot just snap your fingers and magically change, right? You know that. I know that, you know that, you've probably seen a YouTube video of someone explaining that to you, or even if you haven't, it just makes sense to you, right? We know that. Most people know that, right? Well, then why is it that whenever the new year comes along and people start this New Year's resolution trend, that we temporarily forget that we know this and we do it anyway? We set goals for ourselves to quit some bad habit that we've been struggling to quit for years, we've been failing for years, and now we set it as a goal to just quit it whenever January the 1st hits. And then we have other goals like, oh yeah, I want to get these new good habits into my life that take a ton of discipline and that require me to radically change my life and the way that I spend my time. But whenever January the 1st hits, bam, I'm gonna do these things anyway. And then right now, at like the end of January, when we start to realize that we have failed these New Year's resolutions that we set for ourselves, we get demotivated and we think that we are losers that suck because we've failed to do the things that we kinda already knew were probably a little bit unrealistic, right? Why is it? That's so stupid if you think about it, right? We get demotivated and we feel bad about ourselves, and then we improve ourselves even less because we think that we suck, even though we kind of secretly already knew that the expectations that we put on ourselves didn't make any sense and that they were unrealistic. And like I just said in the example in the beginning of this video, if I would just tell you to do that right now, not in the context of the new year, you'd laugh at me. You'd literally laugh at me or think that I'm an idiot. But whenever people call it the New Year's resolutions, you suddenly change your mindset and you turn into an idiot yourself and you try to do it anyway. Why do we do this? It's so silly, right? Let me tell you a little story. I failed a New Year's resolution this year, right now. I actually did it. I actually made the same mistake right now this year, even though I kinda know that this is how it works. I set a New Year's resolution for myself that I wanted to start meditating again. I've meditated for a long time. I've meditated consistently, like a habit, for like at least 10 years or something, I think. I've meditated for longer than that. I think I started when I was a teenager first, like 20 years ago or something. But like the past 10 years, I have meditated quite a lot and I've really felt the benefits on my life, right? But the past 1 or 2 years or something, I haven't been that consistent about it. Because there were things in my life, and I don't know if they are excuses or not, but I had other responsibilities, I have children, and I was tired and I didn't have the time, etc. And again, they might be excuses, but either way, I didn't meditate as much as I wanted to. So I set a goal for myself that I wanted to start meditating again. And I figured, hey, New Year's resolutions, right? That's what everyone does. That's the trend. That's what people do. So why don't I set the goal for myself to start meditating for 30 minutes a day again? Whenever the new year starts. Let's start the new year in a good way, right? So I set that as a goal for myself. And it seemed like a reasonable goal because I have meditated for 30 minutes a day before, and that was definitely something that I could do, right? But it wasn't. It wasn't right now. I don't know why. Again, it might be excuses. It might be the fact that I'm just out of the flow and that I struggle to have this as a habit, that I struggle to bring up discipline for it. I don't know, but I haven't done it for like 2 years. And so trying to just instantly meditate for 30 minutes a day whenever January 1st started, it failed. And I just now realized, like at the end of January, that I have failed my New Year's resolution. And I actually felt kind of bad about myself. Even though when I think about it rationally, I know that it doesn't make any sense. I probably should have started with meditating 5 or 10 minutes a day, right? But I still felt bad about myself because I set that as a goal. And then I thought that I was a loser. And I started to think all kinds of thoughts like, oh shit. But in the past, I have meditated for 30 minutes a day before, right? So, you know, am I a much less disciplined version of myself now, right? And I'm supposed to be a disciplined guy, and I make YouTube videos telling people how to improve themselves, and I failed a New Year's resolution and I wasn't able to meditate 30 minutes a day consistently, right? So I started to sort of lose belief in myself, even though I kind of already knew that I was just out of the flow. I can probably meditate for 30 minutes a day if I just, you know, get into the habit first instead of just trying to do it for half an hour a day instantly overnight, right? I kind of knew that. But still, for some reason, I temporarily forgot that and I set a New Year's resolution for myself, and then I kind of lost belief in myself for failing that resolution, and it demotivated me away from my goal. And that's so silly, if you think about it, isn't it? New Year's resolutions are a terrible measure for success. And again, we kind of know that. Even very disciplined, very successful people who have made big changes in their life would often fail things like New Year's resolutions. I mean, I am someone that has made huge changes in my life. Not going to go too much into detail, but you know, I have had a phase in my life where my life wasn't that great, and I've made some huge changes in my life. And even during the years where I made the biggest changes in my life, I failed some New Year's resolutions. I did. Because the real changes came from like the actual habits that I changed on a day-to-day basis that weren't necessarily bound to a specific date, right? It's like how you replace a habit with another habit, and then you slowly get used to doing a habit, and then you start doing it more and more and more, and you get into the flow. That is how you make true changes, right? So even during those years where I made those huge changes in my life, I still failed my New Year's resolutions. Right now, after all those years of making many changes and being a fairly disciplined person myself, and knowing how it works, I still made the same mistake. And I still failed a New Year's resolution. And so if you made the same mistake that I have made many times before, and the same mistake that so many people make all around the world, I just wanted to make this video to tell you to not feel bad about yourself. Again, New Year's resolutions are a terrible, terrible measure for success or for how disciplined you are or how much potential that you have in life. The fact that you have failed does not mean that you have no discipline. It does not mean that you have less potential than anyone else in life. You're literally just a normal person. And maybe you have the potential to be a very, very disciplined person. You just made the same mistake that every fucking one makes. You hopped onto the New Year's resolution trend and you set some goals for yourself that were probably kind of unrealistic. You probably kind of knew that you couldn't just quit those things overnight, right? That you should have turned them into actual habits. Just like my meditation thing. I kind of knew that I should have just started to meditate for 5 minutes a day, which is what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to start meditating for 5 minutes a day because I know that that's something that I can do. No matter how tired I am or how short on time I am or whatever, I can bring up the time and the discipline to meditate for 5 minutes a day, right? I'm going to get into the flow of meditating 5 minutes a day. And I don't even know how long I'm going to do this. I think it's probably going to last me a couple of weeks, but I'm not even going to plan it. I'm just going to feel. I'm going to feel the point that I think, okay, I've been meditating for 5 minutes a day consistently for 2 weeks now. I feel like this is a habit for me. I feel like this is something that I consistently do. I feel like this is something that I kind of start to enjoy to do, right? I feel like I'm getting into the flow of meditation, and then I'm going to bump it up to 10 minutes a day, and then to 20 minutes a day, and then to 30 minutes a day. Because I know that this is something I can do. I've done it before. It's reasonable. It's nothing too extreme. You know, I know that this is something I can do, and that if I do it this way, it will probably work. If I would have started to do it this way on January the 1st, then I might have been meditating for 30 minutes a day already. But I didn't. So now I got demotivated, and now I barely meditate at all, right? And so if you are in a similar situation that I am or was, because I've seen some actual scientific data that shows that right now at like the end of January, this is the point where a lot of people start to realize that they failed their New Year's resolutions. So I figured there are going to be a lot of people who are in a similar situation that I have been in so many times. So I just wanted to say, if you have failed your New Year's resolutions, hey, don't get discouraged. It does not mean that you suck or that you have less potential than anyone else. Again, even the people that make major changes in their life have failed New Year's resolutions so many times, and they might have failed your New Year's resolutions in the same position as you were right now. So think about what your goals are, what the resolutions are that you have set for yourself, and then think about how you can turn these things into actual habits that you can do consistently on a daily basis, where you're actually kind of looking forward to doing them, where you actually think, oh, you know, I kind of feel like doing that thing right now. Get into the flow. Try to get into the flow of the habits. Get familiar with the habits that the person of your dreams would do. Don't expect to magically change into the person of your dreams overnight, but just try to get familiar with the things that that person does on a day-to-day basis, and then start to fall in love with those habits, and then slowly transition into that person. That is how you make real changes in life. Again, don't get discouraged, okay? You don't suck. New Year's resolutions are a terrible, terrible measure for success, or for how disciplined you are, or for how much potential you have in life. I guess that's all I wanted to say. See you guys in the next video.